Probably hear me without the microphone. You're a timely and attentive crowd, and so we will get started back with the second half of the forum. And with us for that part of the forum is Commissioner Dean Shuck and challenger Rollie Nissen. We also did a coin flip. This time I have double-checked twice. The first question will be, why are you running for county commissioner? Each person will have 2 minutes to respond, and we will start with Rollie.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming. Why am I running? When I came to Wilmer back in 1966, I had never imagined that I would be sitting here today answering that question. My plans were to get a 2-year degree from Ridgewater, then Wilmer Community College in Ag Science, and then move on to the University of Minnesota St. Paul campus for a career of some type in agriculture, because I grew up on the farm. While pursuing the first of those goals, in other words, getting the 2-year degree, I met Glenda, my wife. Guess what? My plans changed. I had been working at trade home shoe stores part-time while going to school, and just as I was about to register for the U, the assistant manager quit, and I was offered that position. And I thought, well, that's pretty good. I can stay in Wilmer, and I have possibly a good career there. And so that began my career 30 years with trade home shoe stores, both as a store manager and a district supervisor. Glenn and I were married, and we raised 2 children here. They were both educated here, including my daughter graduating from Ridgewater in the nursing program. She's a registered nurse at ACMC now. And I'm grateful to the customers also that patronized my store during that period, because they provide me with a good living and the ability to do the other things with my family. I was and still am deeply grateful to the community for all of these blessings, and decided if I ever had the opportunity to give something back that I would. 4 years ago, several people asked me if I would run for county commissioner, and Doug Lindblad filed instead, so I didn't. This year I decided to file so that I could indeed give something back and serve those who served my family so well. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shuck, why are you running for county commissioner?
Well, thanks anyway for the invitation. I think most of you know this is probably the worst part of my job. So one of the main reasons I'm running is that when I was first elected, it takes a couple, 3 years just to get into the job, and I had a good bunch of commissioners working with me. And then the recession hit, and then it seemed like all we did was cut. And now finally, when we're coming out of the recession, we're trying to redesign most of the city or the county government, whether it's downtown redesign or merging the public health and human services and taking on the city's HRA. Oh God, there's a bunch of them. Southern Prairie Mental Health Consortium. So plus probably one of the most important ones is the AIS committee that the state decided to dump a bunch of money on us, and that's kind of really in its infancy. I don't know. I think all of you realize how much importance the lakes have in our area. I think I was told Green Lake Township alone pays 17% of the county property taxes. So there's a large amount of money there that's involved, and I would just like to continue to finish up those processes. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Dean on the next question. What are the top issues facing Kandiyohi County in the coming years, and how will you address them?
Well, it's like Larry Kleindl says, you give him enough money, he can fix just about anything in the county, but when you give him money, it has to come from you people. And I think our biggest problem is going to end up being, I believe that our farm values have really peaked out, and they're the biggest property tax payers. And when they start coming back down, and I'm one of them, I don't know how we're going to make up the difference unless the housing market goes up way more than it has been. When the limited property value went off, my farm taxes doubled, and I remember telling Commissioner Larson that, and he said, well, it's about darn time you pay your share. And maybe he was right, but it's always a hit. And like I say, when the taxes start coming back down, I don't know how we're going to make up the difference. Plus the road and bridge, we keep cutting what Mr. Danielson gets for his budget. And the last 2 years, we didn't hardly spend any money on gravel. And then, of course, it comes back to bite you. This year, there was a lot of money spent on gravel, and Gary's the first one to tell you how that works. I guess that's, and the AIS, that's going to be a big item. I don't know how we're going to spend so much money on in 1 year, but we'll try.
Okay, thank you. Candidate Nissen, what are the top issues facing Kandiyohi County in the coming years, and how will you address them?
Well, as I've traveled around knocking on doors in the district, the biggest issue to the voters, our customers, our constituents, is taxes. And so the next thing that I hear a lot of is the burdensome regulations or the permitting process to do something in the county. I had a young man wanting to build a auto mechanic shop on his property, and he could do it for way less over in Chippewa County. He was just shocked by the cost. So those two issues, I think we have to, in order to solve the problem Dean referred to, is we're going to have to develop more tax base. And the way to do that is to work with the Economic Development Council to bring more businesses and things like the young man who went over to Chippewa County into the county and build a tax base, and we will have a little more tax dollars to spend. Because I agree with him that farmland is going to come down, our tax base is going to shrink in that sector and certain other sectors in the community. So we need to grow business and other development in order to raise the tax base. As far as permitting, I think our employees do a very good job of going out and checking on things. I think we, as managers, need to make sure that the regulations aren't so burdening and the permitting isn't so expensive that we drive customers away, because that's truly the only way we're going to deal with the shrinking tax base and the rising budget.
Okay, thank you. You'll also go first on this question. What services, if any, that a county provides do you believe could be more efficiently provided via a city and county collaboration?
Well, I'm not an insider at this point, so I'm not sure how many are combined, but I would, as a general answer to that question, I believe the more we can work together as the City of Willmar and Kandiyohi County, and also involving some of the other towns in the county in those collaborations and communications, that would provide the efficiencies that we need.
Okay, thank you. Dean, what services, if any, that the county provides do you believe could be more efficiently provided via a city and county collaboration?
Well, already this year we've combined the HRA, not combined, the county took over the city's HRA, so it's just one tax purpose now. And the EDC is a county city organization, and we're in the process twice now to move the assessor from Willmar City into the county, but for whatever reasons, the city has backed out of that merger. And we merged with Renville County with CAT, so the Willmar, or County CAT is going to take over the Renville County, and we'd run into Renville County. So there's always something in the works. Things have really changed the last few years, and the city's always been a good bunch to work with. We're always more willing to listen to what they have to say.
Thank you. You'll also go first on this next question, which is question 4. Recently, there was a call for dissolving the joint powers agreement between the City of Wilmer and Kandiyohi County. What is your perspective and why?
Well, I think that's completely wrong. The EDC has been a great organization. If it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have had Midwest out here or Bush Mills. I don't know how many times Mr. Thompson and I went down to Senator Johnson's office with the Midwest people trying to get a deal set. And if it wouldn't have been for EDC and Senator Johnson, I don't know if it ever would have happened. And same at Bush Mills, it was Steve that kind of twisted our arms, the county's arms, into bonding for something million to at least get them to build in Kandiyohi County.
Okay. Rollie, recently there was a call for dissolving the joint powers agreement between the City of Wilmer and Kandiyohi County. What is your perspective and why?
Well, I'd be opposed to something like that. I too believe that the Economic Development Commission is an excellent organization, and we need to work together as cities and the county to make that work in every regard. As I mentioned earlier, I believe that the way to build our tax base is through economic development, and we don't need any more fighting among ourselves to resolve those differences. The EDC, I don't know for sure because I'm on the outside again, but it seems to me there may be competing organizations in that regard. The county may have a separate organization, the city may have a separate organization, and I believe they all ought to be rolled together into one unit and function better that way. Also, I think the Economic Development Commission ought to be meeting occasionally in Pennock and Sunburg and London Spicer to see if we can communicate and collaborate with those folks a little bit better. It isn't just, as I hear when I go knocking on doors, it isn't just Wilmer all the time. Not that I live here. I don't have anything against Wilmer, but we have to remember we're a county, and we have to include everyone in these things. So that's how I would handle that.
Thank you.
I believe, Dean, you're going first on this. According to the data from Connect Minnesota, a nonprofit organization that works with the state to identify broadband coverage gaps, about 13% of the households in Kandiyohi County have the kind of high-speed internet service the state classifies as adequate. Minimum download speeds of 10 to 20 megabytes per second and minimum upload speeds of 5 to 10 megabytes per second. Statewide, the availability of that type of internet speed is nearly 83%. At 13%, Kandiyohi County is nowhere close. How can we bring better broadband coverage to Kandiyohi County? 2 minutes.
Well, I have to say, I'm one of the lucky ones, even if I live up around Sunburg. When we redid 7, they put in fiber optic and then offered high-speed internet all the way on the new road. But we had a study done, and the expense is right around 55 million or more to do countywide. The problem is we have 3 telephone providers in the county, and we've talked to all 3, and none of them want to stick that kind of money into it. And the county certainly can't bond for that kind of money, or we wouldn't be able to bond for anything else. So I really don't know what the answer is to that. It's really too bad, because just the other night I got a call from a lady up in Colfax, and she even gave up her dial-up because it was so worthless. And then she was wondering when we were going to get countywide, but I really don't have an answer for that. It's so much money. There's counties around us that are 100% rental for one, so I don't know what the answer is.
All right, thank you. Rollie, according to the data from Connect Minnesota, a nonprofit organization that works with the state to identify broadband coverage gaps, about 13% of the households in Kandiyohi County have the kind of high-speed internet service the state classifies as adequate. Minimum download speeds of 10 to 20 megabytes per second and minimum upload speeds of 5 to 10 megabytes per second. Statewide, the availability of that type of internet speed is nearly 83%. At 13%, Kandiyohi County is nowhere close. How can we better bring broadband coverage to Kandiyohi County?
Well, I went on Connect Minnesota's website, and we do have an inadequate upload speeds, but 98% of the download speeds are 10 MP. I can't read that. Whatever that's supposed to say. The speed is adequate on the download side throughout 98% of the county, according to this. Now, I don't know, I'm not disputing these numbers, I just did a little research on my own. Connect Minnesota, there's also a border-to-border broadband development grant program. However, that requires a 50% match, so we're still talking about a lot of money. And I think maybe the answer is to work at it bit by bit. Mary Sawatsky's brother has a MVTV wireless out of Redwood Falls, and they claim to reach the whole county with some service, but it's not adequate. And so we may want to. And the other thing I might point out, I think businesses really would be folks that would require this kind of speed, and I think we should develop zones for businesses such as the industrial park here, where they can function at a higher speed, and something that'll serve them well, and work as we need to on those other businesses that need that kind of speed. Also, it might be a private-public partnership that might make it a little quicker and easier to handle. It's something I would want to work on if I'm elected and allowed to serve.
Thank you. Question 6. Rollie, you'll go first. If elected, how will you measure whether your service as a county commissioner has been successful?
Well, somebody told me I had to have a vision in order to run for county commissioner. And my vision is to give the best customer service I possibly can to all of the citizens of the district. And I don't know how you measure that, except I guess you'll know if they're not happy with you. They usually tell you, or at least everybody else. So I plan on providing that kind of service. That's the kind of thing I'm used to. As a store manager and a district supervisor, we stressed customer service constantly, and dealing with some of these issues and trying to move the ball forward. It's not easy because, like he says, there's not an infinite supply of money, and so prioritizing things, funding needs before wants. Those are important things to remember. Making the permitting process smoother and less burdensome. I would say, let's make the permitting process enabling, not disabling, and make it work for the folks that want to move in here and start businesses. So that's how I would measure my success if some of those things were to happen and I were able to accomplish those things.
Thank you. Commissioner Shuck, if elected, how will you measure whether your service as a county commissioner, has been successful?
Well, for many years, it seemed like all I ever got done was putting out fires. And I remember talking to Earl Larson, and he was a commissioner, and I'd asked for some help, and his famous saying was, "My hands are tied," and I know where he's coming from now, because there's only so much you can do to help him out, whether it's the permit or the zoning, and of course the county has little or no say in what goes on in the cities. So it's mostly rural problems I deal with, and I've talked to people that started feedlots here, and they've told me that the Kandiyohi County, being a livestock-friendly county, is one of the easiest ones to get permitted for. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's kind of the way it ended up. I lost myself. Anyway, we'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Once again, you're not literally asking your opponent this question, but if you could ask your opponent one question about an issue, what would it be? Rollie?
Well, there are several I'd like to ask my opponent, but I guess he mentioned it at the outset that they had to cut during the recession. And I don't recall the budget actually going down in any of those years. So I would ask if cuts are in the terms of cuts to the hoped for spending, or actual cuts, because it appears to me that there were cuts in the supposed growth, not the actual budget. There are many other things, but I'll stop at that.
Commissioner Shuck, if you could ask your opponent one question about an issue, what would it be?
Well, I had down there that what would his vision be? I was asked that by a gentleman north of town 8 years ago, and I have to say I'm still not sure what it is. It seems like all we do is put out fires, but I'd like to know what one program would you be willing to get rid of?
Okay, closing comments. You each will have 2 minutes. Commissioner Shuck, you will be first.
Well, thanks again for the invitation. I kind of, that's not all that heartfelt, but you're... I was going to say, whatever happens in November, this will be my last campaign. I just about didn't do it this time, but we had so many things going on. I would like to see them through. One of the main ones is the AIS, and the other is road and bridge. There's way too much going on, and with the redesign, yeah, I would just hate to leave it at this point. And thanks again.
Rollie?
Okay. Well, I began today by sharing with you why I'm running, and as we close, I want to re-emphasize that I'm running to serve, to give something back to the community that has supported my family and me all these years. I want to offer a fresh perspective, a new voice, and a collaborative approach to the issues facing our county. I grew up on a small farm south of Cyrus, and I learned the value of hard work on the farm. I had a cabin on Games Lake, so I have the understanding of what it takes at a lake and the issues that they face. I've lived and worked in Wilmer for over 45 years, and with that varied experience, I believe I will be a well-rounded body of experience in support. I will bring a well-rounded body of experience in support of all the citizens of District 3. I understand that it's a rural area. I have no problem with that. I grew up on the farm. I know what the issues are, even though farming has changed completely since I was on the farm. The issues are still similar. I believe that my experience, though, as manager and district manager of Trade Home Shoes provides me with the kind of experience that will, and I shouldn't read this, but serve me well as county commissioner. As a manager, and most particularly as a district supervisor, my job was to evaluate personnel, budgets, processes, and product. Did that every day for 30 years, made decisions based on those evaluations. Most importantly, and I think I said this before, Trade Home's heavy emphasis on customer service has been deeply ingrained in me, and I will bring that passion to the 3rd District. After all, the constituents are our customers. And the word passion, I think after a while you tend to lose that, and being an eager young rookie waiting in the wings, waiting to have my chance, I would bring that passion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Closing comments, Pat?
We would like to thank the candidates that were here today, Representative Mary Sawatsky, Dave Baker, Commissioner Dean Shuck, Rollie Nissen for participating, and we also would like to thank the Wilmer Area Lakes Chamber of Commerce for hosting the event today. You are invited to attend the candidate forum to be held next Friday, October 10th, same place, and the focus will be the mayoral candidates for the city of Wilmer, as well as the city council candidates for wards 1, 2, and 3. Again, thanks to you all for coming today, and we hope to see you next Friday.